Welcome to Biztech CEO Conversation Show. Today, our featured CEO is Rizal Nainy. He's the Chief Executive Officer of the SME Corporation of Malaysia. Now, Rizal, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Brian.
Now, Rizal, walk us through what SME Corporation does. You do a lot, but people don't understand the full extent of your remit.
All right. SME Corporation Malaysia, as we call SME Corp, is the central coordinating agency under the Ministry of Entrepreneur Development and Cooperative that coordinates the implementation of SME development programs across all related ministries and agencies. And we act as the central point of reference for research and data dissemination on the SMEs and entrepreneurs, as well as provide business advisory services for SMEs and entrepreneurs throughout the country. As the central coordinating agency for overall SME development programs in Malaysia, SME Corp Malaysia coordinates, streamlines, monitors, as well as evaluates the progress and effectiveness of the SME development program implemented by 15 ministries and more than 60 agencies in Malaysia. And we also have our own developmental programs for SMEs in the form of financial assistance, capacity building, targeted trainings, helping SMEs to be more competitive, productive, and innovative.
Okay, now, Rizal, from a Malaysian context, how do you segment SMEs?
Okay, SMEs is defined by sales as well as the number of employees that they have. So we've been defined and approved the definition by the council called National Entrepreneur and SME Development Council, checked by the Prime Minister. And that definition actually defines by 3 categories. One is micro, and then small, and last but not least is medium. Yeah. So all of these SMEs in Malaysia, we have about like 97.2% of total establishments of businesses in Malaysia are SMEs. So you can see how big and how many the SMEs are. Currently, it's about like 1.15 million of SMEs in Malaysia, and contributing about 38.2% of the national GDP. And also, they employs about 7.3 million people of Malaysian.
Okay. So the SMEs themselves, now you said that there are 3 categories of SMEs. What is the micro SME and defined as?
Okay, micro SMEs are those enterprises that their revenues generated a year less than 300,000 ringgit, Malaysia. And they have less than 5 people as number of their employees. So these are small, super small, what we call it micro enterprises. And then we have small, and then we have medium. So medium, the revenue stream is from, for manufacturing, it's from less than 50 million, but more than 15 million ringgit. So there is a range I can share with you. And small is in between that, between micro and medium.
Now, the pandemic hit Malaysia really, really hard, and it's still impacting us very, very hard. How did you manage to help these SMEs when the pandemic hit last year?
Okay, as you know that the government has announced many economic packages, stimulus packages, starting from early of last year. And you can see all these about 8 packages, including the national budget that was announced last year for this year, including the latest one was Pemulih, where government has actually allocated about 155 billion ringgit Malaysia for the SMEs to be helped in terms of grants, in terms of moratorium, in terms of rentals, discounts, and there are a lot of initiatives that have been given by the government to the SMEs. And SME Corp Malaysia itself, we have been given some of these allocation For example, we've been given a grant to actually come up with a portal called MyAssist MSME Portal. Yeah. So with the portal, with the fund that been given to SME Corp, we actually developed that portal for us to help the SMEs, especially to help them for them to start and resume their business during the pandemic that's happening now. And what we actually do, we actually help them by giving free business advisory in terms of how to do business, where to find access to financing, for example, how to export their products, yeah, all sorts of entrepreneurship and business elements can be discussed through MyAssist portal, where we have more than 50 business counselors to help them. Besides this business counselor service that we gave, under this portal as well, we have a module called Match Me platform, where we actually match the SMEs with the anchor, meaning the buyers. These buyers are multinationals. They are also coming from GLCs, large firms, international firms, as well as they can actually buy from themselves. I mean, among the SMEs themselves. So recently, we actually do this called business matching sessions. And we managed to actually generate potential sales of about 9.7 million ringgit just for 1 week, and involve about more than 280 SMEs with about 28 anchor companies. So with this type of platform, or this kind of platform, that can help SMEs to sell their products or services to the anchor companies.
And I think, Rizal, is a great initiative, because one of the things that SMEs need is really market access, and this is what you are really helping them with. Obviously, the big buyers are often MNCs, GLCs, government agencies, and the government directly themselves, government-linked agencies and government themselves. MyAssist, MySME Portal, what are the plans for it moving forward?
Okay, besides what we have a module called Match Me and MITI. Match Me is more for the business matching. MITI is more to give advisory support and advisors to our SMEs. We also have some other features called, for example, like e-exhibition, yeah, where we do actually a virtual expos through this portal. And recently, we did this SME Week in Malaysia. Was launched by the Prime Minister of Malaysia, and we have about 520 virtual booths. Normally we do it SME Week physically, meaning that we do it at halls, you know, at KLCC or MITI, yeah? Big halls, you know, with all these SMEs, and display their products and sell their products and services. But now, because of the pandemic and the MCO, we actually do it virtually, and we have a good demand coming from the SMEs to actually participate in this SME Week, virtual SME Week. And that actually make them realize that how important this digitalization as well as e-commerce platform, especially using this portal for them to actually display their products virtually. So meaning, if let's say you want to buy some products from, example, the state of Sarawak, yeah, you can actually go into this portal and click a pavilion in Sarawak, and there are about a number of them who actually have products to be sold in this e-exhibition platform. So with this, we will do more, yeah. Not only to stop just during the SME Week, but we can do more, looking into some programs that we can actually collaborate with others as well, and do it not only domestically, but also internationally.
I think one of the key things, Rizal, again, is the following. The challenges in the past, pre-COVID, was, and I'm sure you'll agree with me, Malaysian SMEs were very reluctant to, and you hear that from so many different agencies and government itself, and also private enterprises, SMEs were very reluctant to embrace technology. Have you seen a fundamental shift in the way that the mindset has shifted towards technology from SMEs?
Yeah, we did before the pandemic, before the MCO in late 2018. We did a study together with Huawei Technology looking into how to digitalize the SMEs. And from the survey that we did, what we conclude is that SMEs, in terms of computerizations, yes, they are there. Meaning that 80%, more than 80% from the survey or from the study stated that they are computerized, meaning that they have all sorts of gadgets, for example, like the laptops, the smartphones, iPads, iPhones. Yeah? But when it comes to digitalizing their businesses or processes, they are still lacking. Only less than 20% digitalize their business processes. And this includes adoption of e-commerce platforms as part and parcel of their online businesses. So during the MCO, we found out that from SSM is the Suruhanjaya Syarikat Malaysia, where businesses registered their business with authority. Then 3% of increase in terms of business online, has been recorded. Meaning that just during the MCO itself, from March to October last year, about 6 to 7 months, 3% has increased in terms of numbers of business recorded as online business. And that goes to a total of more than 373,000 entities has actually registered their businesses as online businesses, meaning that there is a shift. And I believe by now there will be more in terms of businesses going online, and they aware that these are the new norms for them to do the business, not only through the brick and mortar, as we know, the conventional way, but is through online.
Rizal, what are some of the key programs that you have planned for the rest of 2021? Because the problem now is we are in EMCO and MCO now. We're still not out of it. There's a rush to get vaccinated. Many small businesses and businesses as a whole have been severely affected to the point where many of them are closing down, or either temporarily or permanently. What sort of plans do you all have in place to restart the whole economy again?
Okay, we have various programs under SME Corp, and that will be implemented in 2021 this year. And for example, like ranging from capacity building, financial assistance, ratings and accreditation, as well as export development for the SMEs. And some of the programs that I would like to share here, we have 7 key programs, by the way, Brian. Okay. The first one is what we call it a program called Tunas Usahawan Belia Bumiputra, a short form called TUB. Yeah? And this program aims to encourage youth to venture into business. And it supports the National Youth Development Policy, which propagates the entrepreneurship as one of the key focus areas to enable youth to move forward. So the ranging of 18 to 30 years old of entrepreneurs are welcome to actually participate in this program. We also have a program called Inclusive SME Ecosystem. Program aims to empower the bottom 40% of the economy, of the income pyramid, and by leveraging innovation. So if you can see youth, we are targeting for youth, we are targeting the B40 as well. And finally, we also have a program that relates to grant assistance. For example, like BIP, stand for Bumiputra Enterprise Enhancement Program. We have also a program called BAP, Business Accelerator Program, as well as Export Bumiputra Program. Yeah? So these programs are very much giving assistance in terms of grant for them to actually build up their business, not only looking into in terms of financial assistance, for example, like the soft loans as well as for the working capital, but also to expand their business in a way that they can produce more. For example, like buying equipment, making sure branding is there, marketing is there, adopting technology as well as online businesses. So it's a quite range of scope and elements that we have within these grant programs under SME Corp. Yeah?
Okay, Rizal, I want to zoom in on you now, because you've spent the bulk of your professional life at Shell, and then you transitioned into the civil service and then the GLC world. Walk us through what was that like?
Okay. All right. Yeah, perhaps I just share a bit of my experiences with Shell as well as later with the government. I've been working with Royal Dutch Shell, which is a British Dutch multinational oil and gas company for 16 years. And I was a Shell scholar before as well. So that's why I started with Shell. Yeah, so been loyal for 16 years, of course. And then I joined the government for 11 years, starting with the Performance Management Delivery Unit, a unit under the Prime Minister's department, and now with SME Corp Malaysia. And many things I learned from Shell to Prime Minister's department, and now with SME Corp. For example, like in Shell, we learned a lot of this called transformation of businesses. For example, like what we call is business re-engineering to obtain transformational results, especially through specific projects. I involve a lot in the sales, operation, and strategic choices of retail businesses in Shell, not only for Malaysia, but in Asia Pacific as well. So I learned a lot from other countries, turning some of the businesses from the normal and how they used to do business to something like we call it up to the outstanding and excellence to get more profits and revenues. Other than that, we also learn a lot how to do a structural cost reduction properly, systematically. And one thing for sure is all about simplifying and standardizing business processes for better efficiency. Yeah. So with all these experiences and knowledges, I brought this to, of course, when I joined the Prime Minister's department to craft and implement the government and economic transformation programs through specific entry point projects. So with all these knowledges, we managed to come up with these entry point projects, making sure that the GNI, the investment as well as job creations will be created over the years of that time. And then, of course, I joined SME Corp in 2016 until now for almost more than 5 years already with SME Corp, looking into how to transform SMEs, especially in high potential sector, for example, like electronics, medical devices, biotechnology, which can actually boost and lead our GDP aspect coming from the SMEs. And with all this experience, as I mentioned, I adopted the best practices until now to ensure that SME Corp Malaysia achieves the transformational outcomes, especially in developing the SMEs in line with our corporate team. We have a corporate team in SME Corp pioneering business transformation. So from there, that's how I do my transition from the private sector to the Prime Minister's department, and now with SME Corp, one of the government agencies under the Ministry of Entrepreneur Development.
Now, final note, Rizal, what advice would you like to leave us with, particularly for Malaysian SMEs, on how to cope with the pandemic and how you're going to help them to transform and perhaps thrive post-pandemic?
All right. Well, my advice perhaps to the SMEs out there, in adapting the new norm of businesses, SMEs need to leverage on the use of technology and digitalization to increase their productivity and efficiency, as well as to improve the human skills of their workforce, and also to make sure that they strengthen their cash flow position. Because we did a survey and we found out cash flow is the most challenging issue that they are facing during this pandemic. And the importance of having an effective contingency plan is also a key for them, because we don't know what will happen next. With that contingency plan, they are prepared and will be more organized when it comes to switch any form of business modality when they actually do their business or perhaps they would like to diversify or change their business. And as we know that I also like to recommend regarding about the current situation right now, that public or perhaps the SMEs need to do self-control, especially during this movement control order period in which to break the chain of COVID-19 infection. Well, it starts with us, Brian.
Yes.
This self-movement control need to be done. Perhaps just sitting at home and not leaving the house if there is no essential need to be out there. Yeah, adhering to the SOP as well, and of course, employees to the SMEs need to actually make sure that when they do it, they are at home, they do work from home and produce whatever that we need by the SMEs, because we don't want SMEs just stay home and stay home. You know,
Yes.
Stay home, but you must work as well. Yeah, and one more thing I think is about vaccination, Brian. We need to make sure that the vaccination program will be implemented and finished soon, so that we can actually achieve the herd immunity above the 80% threshold, and hope that especially the SMEs and the workers of the SMEs register the vaccination program and receive the vaccination timely, so that we can open our business as usual. I think that's very important to all of us.
Now, Rizal, thank you very much for taking your time to be on the show.
Thank you, Brian.
Now, I'm Brian Fernandez, and I've been speaking to Rizal Nainy, the Chief Executive Officer of SME Corp Malaysia, on Biztech CEO Conversation Show. This video will be on our Facebook and LinkedIn sites, as well as our website, www.biztech.asia. Please like and subscribe to our various platforms. Thank you very much for tuning in.